In today's video, I'll be sharing with you 7 knitting patterns for classic everyday cardigans that I'm absolutely loving right now. And in addition to that, I'm also going to be sharing with you 4 key qualifications that I have in place for my ideal everyday cardigan. Grab a cup of something cozy and let's go ahead and get started. Hello, and welcome to the Wool Needles Hands Midweek Ramble. My name is Taylor and I will be your host. In today's video, we are talking about cardigans. Now, cardigans are always on my mind. I am a big wearer of cardigans. I feel like they are an absolute staple element in my wardrobe. I have several. I like to say that I have a healthy number of cardigans, some wool, some cotton. I like to have both for varying times of the year. I just love myself a really good classic everyday cardigan. And in the last episode of the podcast, where I was sharing with you fun finds on Etsy for knitters and fiber artists, I shared with you a really gorgeous set of ceramic bird buttons by Stockwell Ceramics in the UK. I was absolutely smitten with those buttons. Turns out I did purchase them. I could not resist. I absolutely loved them, and I knew that I wanted them to be that little piece of something extra on a classic everyday cardigan that I knit for myself. And I figured, why not just go ahead and share with you my favorite cardigan knitting patterns that I've discovered on Ravelry. And they're not even just recent discoveries. I've had these in my favorites for quite some time. Share them with you, and also share with you some of the things that I look for in that ideal classic everyday layering cardigan. Now, like many of these pattern rundown videos, I will be sharing with you what I see on my phone screen as I use the Ravelry app for Ravelry. So Ravelry is the mobile app that I use to access Ravelry. It's a fantastic app. I definitely suggest you check it out. I'm not sponsored by Ravelry. I just am a big fan and I am a happy user of that app. So I will be using that app to look at these patterns on my phone, and I'll be popping that up on the screen so that you can see essentially what I see here. Also, all of the patterns I'm going to be sharing with you today are available in a Ravelry favorites bundle over on my Ravelry favorites. I have lots of bundles over there of various different categories and themes, many of which I've shared in previous videos here on the channel. So if you'd like to see all of the patterns I mentioned here today in one place, I will link to that bundle down in the description box of this video. You can also find all of the links for what I mentioned here today if you follow the QR code on your screen. That will take you to the Wool Needles Hands website where I share my show links, and you can follow along with the video if you happen to be watching this from a smart TV. Okay, now before we dive into those patterns, like I said, I want to share with you a few things that I look for when I'm narrowing down cardigans on Ravelry or anywhere I happen to be looking at cardigan patterns or shopping for them in the store. These are the key things that I look for that meet my preferences and, in my opinion, kind of make that staple everyday, throw it on over a cute t-shirt, throw it on over anything really, and have it look great cardigan. I tend to really favor a really nice deep V cardigan, similar to the one that I'm wearing here. Now, this is a store-bought cardigan. I love this cardigan. It's cotton and viscose. It's great for the warmer weather, but it has this really nice deep V right before you get to the button band, and then the button band comes down and it's a little bit of a longer cardigan. But I really like a nice deep V. And the reason that I prefer that is because when you're using it as a layering piece, having that V-neck construction helps it to kind of lay over your shoulders and down your front, and it doesn't want to pull itself open. Now, depending on how heavy your buttons are, which is kind of funny because the ceramic buttons I was mentioning earlier are probably quite heavy, but depending on how heavy your buttons are, that may or may not be an issue. Sometimes heavier buttons will cause that button band to pull open like this. It's not great, but it's definitely not great when you're wearing a crew neck, high neckline cardigan. I feel like when that flaps open, it's just not that great looking. So I like to have a nice V-neck cardigan. It sits on my front. It just layers really well. So first thing I look for is a nice deep V-neck cardigan. The next thing that I look for is a really sturdy button band, something that can hold up to the weight of the buttons. I don't like the look of a cardigan that has a button band with kind of that bacon effect where it starts to ripple under the weight of whatever buttons are on there. I want that button band to be nice and sturdy. And when it comes to a knit sweater or a hand knit sweater, that means that it needs to be really tightly knit. Sometimes I'll see button bands on sweaters sweaters and you can see the ripples of the ribbing or the ripples of the texture of the knitting, and it just doesn't look like a very sturdy button band. And to me, that's a problem. And so I really look for a nice, sturdy button band that can hold up to the weight of the buttons. The next thing I'm after is minimal texture. Now that doesn't mean I don't want texture. There are several cardigan designs out there that have a really lovely texture to them. I just don't want it to be over the top texture, meaning I don't want the texture to be the star of the show. A nice ribbing, maybe a fisherman's rib or kind of a broken rib stitch, something like that I think looks really nice. Or even if you have some minimal texture at the bottom of the cardigan that works its way and kind of gradually dissipates as it moves up the sweater, that's also nice. It adds a little bit of visual interest without taking over the design, keeping it very easy to pair with really anything and to use it as a very versatile layering piece. So I go for minimal texture. Lastly, and this one is more a matter of construction preference, and that is I want the cardigan to sit square up on top of my shoulders. Sometimes I'll see cardigans, and when you see them on the model, they tend to kind of just sit right here on like the knobs of your shoulders, or like right here at this part of your shoulder. And if that's where it naturally sits and that's really as far as you can pull it up on your shoulders, if I see that on the model, I steer very clear of those patterns because I know that it is going to slip off of my shoulders all the time and it's going to become really kind of annoying as you wear it. You want a cardigan, if you're layering it over something, you want it to sit right up on top of your shoulders and you don't want it to be falling off your shoulders. You don't want to have to be making those adjustments, especially when the garment has been knit by hand, because all of that pulling and adjusting, it pulls on your stitches and it can distort your fabric, and you really don't want that. So I want that cardigan to sit right up on top of my shoulders and not have that appearance of looking like it's going to fall off the edge of my shoulders. Now, the patterns I'm going to share with you here today follow those guidelines pretty closely, with some minor deviations here and there. But for the most part, I feel like these fit into my ideal cardigan wardrobe beautifully. Now, I want to start this off with a cardigan that I have been eyeballing for quite some time now. It's rather colorful. It is an all-over colorwork design, but the structure and the construction of this cardigan, the way it looks on this model, the way it sits on the shoulders, it's just absolutely appealing to me. And I feel like the colorwork motif here is something that can be really worn over anything. It's definitely going to be a colder weather cardigan because it is colorwork, so it's going to have a heavier fabric. But you guys, this is a gorgeous cardigan, and I would even go so far as to say it is a great classic everyday cardigan for those colder days. This is the Galloway by Jared Flood. When I first discovered this design, my jaw dropped at not only like the gorgeous color work, obviously that's beautiful and I really love that. I think that it has a really great shape. It almost kind of seems to fall a little forward in the front. Kind of like hanging forward and down. It's really hard to explain what I mean there, but it just has a real nice put together look. You can tell that the needle that was used in the ribbing of this sweater is just ideal to achieve that tightness in that ribbing. It gives it really good structure. The raglan seams are beautiful. It kind of cuts at right, and it's right. For a raglan cardigan, I feel like of all the cardigan constructions, the one that's more prone to fall off your shoulders, and I might be wrong about this, but I feel like I always kind of think it looks this way, are raglan seams. I don't know, I might be wrong. But this doesn't strike me as having that issue. I just think it looks so crisp and polished, and that button band is a fantastic button band, looks super sturdy. This sweater doesn't actually have any buttons on it. You can obviously put your own buttons on it, but I love it without buttons. Absolutely. Now, one thing I do notice about this is it kind of has like a kimono style wrap in the front, and maybe that's why I'm getting that like down and forward kind of thing in this profile image right here. But it does have this kimono wrap. So if you close the cardigan, it like overlaps like this. And I appreciate that because I think that gives it a really like put together when you're wearing it over like this button down blouse that she has on. She doesn't have it buttoned, it's not closed, but the way that those two pieces kind of come together in the front, it keeps everything kind of put together and closed around you without being closed and without needing to be buttoned. I don't know if that was the intention, but it is effective. Absolutely. I love this. I think it's beautiful, and I love the project photos. It's just good. It's really good. So I love that. Galloway by Jared Flood. That is the first on our list of 7 everyday cardigans. Okay, this next cardigan is called the Seasons Cardigan by Ozetta. Now there's 2 different versions of this. There's the Seasons Cardigan, and then there's the Oversized Seasons Cardigan. Now they look very similar. One just looks slightly bigger, which makes sense because it's the oversized version, but this is a gorgeous cardigan. It actually is quite similar to a few store-bought cardigans that I actually own and I wear quite often. Now, a few of the things that I really love about this. Number one, that texture is minimal but classic. It gives a little bit of that visual interest. It's a half fisherman's rib, which kind of mimics a brioche rib in my opinion. In the tags on this pattern on Ravelry, it says brioche tuck, but from what I know about this, it's not a brioche rib. It's actually a half fisherman's rib, which I really love that texture for a cardigan. It's just very classic. I also really love the button band on this. It's a substantial button band. It's nice and wide, which I love that look. It's a nice tight knit button band, and you can tell it really holds up to those buttons. I don't know how heavy those buttons are, but everything looks really nice and put together. Nothing's flopping over. You don't have those buttons kind of flopping over in the front, pulling the fabric down, and just that classic layering piece. Like when you look at the photos here, that's exactly kind of how she's wearing it. It's that classic in the house, casual layering piece, throw it on over a t-shirt. It's just everything that I'm looking for in a cardigan. I do want to knit up a few cotton cardigans or cotton merino blend cardigans that are better for, not super warm, but warmer days. And this I think would look fantastic in a really nice 50-50 cotton merino blend. Many of the cardigans that I wear that you see me wear here on the podcast, many of them are cotton linen, or cotton wool blends because it's just like my favorite for a cardigan, but this would be ideal for that. So this is the Seasons Cardigan, and then the Oversized Seasons Cardigan. It's kind of, you're getting 2 for the price of 1 here. Essentially the same design. It just looks like it's larger dimensions. It has more sizes available. It comes in extra small to 5XL. It's a worsted weight, half fisherman's rib. It requires less yarn in general, which is interesting. So why? Okay, so this requires 1,300 to 1,700, and then the Oversized Seasons requires 967 to 1,663. I don't know. So that's kind of cool, but it's just a little bit bigger. It kind of looks a little roomier, and I love that as well. So you can kind of go with which one fits your preferences, which one is available in your size, but they are both worsted weight sweaters, and they're by Ozetta, and I love them. So that is the Seasons Cardigan by Ozetta. Okay, this next one is new to me, and it is gorgeous. And I'm picturing this, I love it in the color here, but I'm picturing this in black and having it be that classic black cardigan in your wardrobe, or come with me here, something that's like a really lovely nut brown. Now, all of that will make sense when you see what it is. This is, okay, now you can correct me in the comments because I might be saying this wrong, but it is the FangFang Cardigan, and this is by Galloway Designs, and it's gorgeous. It has this awesome, super deep V-neck construction. It has a really nice, sturdy button band. Only 3 buttons down here at the front of the cardigan, because the deep V comes all the way down here, and then you have this really nice straight front placket, whatever you want to call that, with 3 big buttons. So classy looking. It has a really nice chevron pattern along the bottom of the base of the body of the cardigan, as well as the bottom of the arms or the sleeves. It's just so classy. I love the width of the sleeves. I love how the cuffs kind of narrow in. I like to have a little bit of a bubble sleeve, not something exaggerated that really is a bubble sleeve, but I like there to be some kind of open sleeve action going on, and then a really nice narrow cuff. This is so beautiful. So this is a new to me pattern and a new to me designer. Love this. I love this color. This is Manos del Uruguay Alpaca Heather. Now that's a sport weight yarn, and it's 30% alpaca, 70% wool. What a beautiful fiber content. I mean, it has a lot of beautiful colors. Look at the available colors in that particular yarn. What a palette. What an array. I mean, shoot, I could see this particular cardigan in any of these colors. They are absolutely gorgeous. So that is the FangFang or FangFang, I don't know, you can correct me, by Galloway Designs. It's amazing. It's gorgeous. I'm loving it. And with those tortoiseshell buttons, please. Okay, this next one has been in my queue, not even in my queue, but in my favorites for quite some time. I've been a little trepidatious at starting it because a lot of folks tell me that it's just very time consuming and complicated, but I also hear by those same folks that it is worth it, that the payoff definitely is worth it. And that is the Champagne Cardigan by Petite Knit. Now, I don't know if I need to put up a Petite Knit trigger warning. If you don't like hearing about Petite Knit patterns, I don't know what to tell you.
I feel the conflict within you. Let go of your hate.
But her patterns are great and popular for a reason, and this is no exception. The Champagne Cardigan by Petite Knit. Classic, button-down cardigan. You don't really need to say any more because that sums it up beautifully. Now, this particular cardigan does use a mohair pairing. The sample is knit with a DK weight merino yarn with a mohair lace weight yarn held alongside to give it an overall worsted weight yarn and gauge. However, if you don't want to knit a pattern like this, and this is just a little helpful tip, if you don't want to knit a pattern with mohair, you don't want to pair those two things together, you just look in Ravelry and see what the overall yarn weight is when you combine those two together and find a yarn that replaces that yarn weight. So this is a DK with a lace that makes an overall worsted weight yarn, and the yardages that it gives here, or the meterage, is what you would use to figure out how much of that worsted weight yarn you would need. So all of that information is here for you. You don't have to pair this with mohair. I feel like the Champagne Cardigan would look gorgeous in just a standard wool yarn or a fleece-based fiber, even without the mohair. I think it's beautiful with the mohair, but again, it's really your preference. This is just that classic go-to throw on over everything cardigan, and it is a it's 45 Danish kroner, and I believe that 45 Danish kroner is $6 US. Hey Siri, how many US dollars is 45 Danish kroner? $6.63. Yeah, okay, so it's about between $6 and $7 US. It's exactly $6.63 US. So that is the Champagne Cardigan by Petite Knit. Okay, I shared this next one with you guys when I shared with you my haul from Knit Dallas. We took a trip to Dallas back in February, and one of the things that I purchased from Knit Dallas was the Contrasts book by Maja KP. Now that book actually sits right down there under the candle. I love that book. The patterns in there are gorgeous. And one of those patterns is my opinion of a really gorgeous classic cold weather staple cardigan. And that is the Maja by Maja KP, and it is gorgeous. Chef's kiss on this because it has a beautiful V-neck. It has a really substantial button band. It looks like it's knit to a real tight gauge, giving it a lot of good structure. I love that it's using, I mean, this is of course a matter of preference, but these really rich ebony buttons are gorgeous. I love the ribbing on the front that kind of has like, I don't even know what is that? It's just a chevron type rib. I don't think that those, yeah, they're twisted stitches. So it kind of looks like a twisted rib detail on the front. The rest of it is a nice all over stockinette. Excuse me. This looks to me like that classic librarian's cardigan. If you can visualize with me what I mean by that. It's just so nice. It's so ideal. I don't know. I love this. So this is available in the book Contrasts, which if you don't have that book, I will link to it down below in the description box. It is a fantastic knitting patterns book. Tons of great patterns. This is available in that book, and I also think that that is the only place you can get your hands on this pattern, so keep that in mind. But this is beautiful. It uses Swan's Island All-American Collection worsted, and also Wool Me Once Fibers Bumblebee Surrey. So they're pairing a worsted weight, and I believe that, yeah, it's an alpaca wool blend, and they're pairing that with a Surrey floofy fiber, holding those together, giving it this really nice fabric with a really lovely, delicate halo. Love that. So that is the Maja by Maja KP. Forgot to mention that it is a bulky weight sweater. So this is going to be a little heavier. That's why it's better for colder weather. Bulky weight sweater, and it comes in sizes ranging from extra small to 5XL. Okay, I'm loving this next one because I love a good cropped cardigan from time to time, especially if I'm wearing high-waisted jeans, or if I'm not wearing high-waisted jeans, but maybe I'm wearing a dress. I feel like a cropped cardigan kind of adds to those types of outfits really nicely. Sometimes a cropped cardigan just fits the bill. And this one by the lovely Tayler Owen is called the Kingston Cardigan. I think that Tayler knocked it out of the park with this design for a few different reasons. I love the shape. I love the construction. You can tell that it sits up on the shoulders beautifully because that button band is coming down around the neck right here, meaning it's going to stay put on your shoulders. I love the button band. I actually didn't notice this until just now, but that is a knit 2 purl 2 button band, and that's cool. You don't really see a 2x2 button band like that. Typically it's a 1x1 rib, but that's really nice, and it pairs really nicely with the knit 2 purl 2 hemline at the bottom of the cardigan as well. Nice and sturdy. It almost looks like it has an I-cord edge, which just lends itself nicely to that structure. I like how many buttons she has on this sample here. She's using 6 buttons. I kind of like that like rapid fire button action going on. I like the really cool kind of along the raglan. It almost looks like she has a cable motif going on up there. These are just things that catch my eye. I think they're very interesting. I really like the yarn that she used here. I just think that is your classic cropped cardigan. So I don't know if anybody here remembers the movie Empire Records, but in that movie, Liv Tyler wears this green, I want to say it's green. Is it green? Empire Records? Yeah, I believe it's green. In my mind's eye, I see a green cardigan, and she wears it with this pleated skirt. No. What matters is that this is kind of calling back to some of those 90s styles, because, you know, 90s styles are coming back in fashion, which is really weird. Just it's strange to be in that age bracket where that's happening to you. So, you know, whatever. But this is one of those 90s fashions that I thought was just hot. Like the semi-cropped, not super cropped, but that semi-cropped cardigan over the top of like a concert tee or some kind of grungy t-shirt. It's a good look. And Tayler did a fantastic job with this cardigan. I don't know if that's what she was going for, but that's just the vibe that I'm getting from this. So loving that. That's the Kingston Cardigan. Jill Draper Makes Stuff yarn, Kingston yarn. It's a worsted weight, woolen spun, beautiful yarn. Brooklyn Tweed Shelter, Elsa Wool, woolen spun worsted Cormo. So woolen spun is the way to go with this. I highly recommend woolen spun for cardigans because they wear nice and lightweight, and it doesn't require a ton of yarn. So anywhere from anywhere from 770 to 1700 yards, and it comes in 12 different sizes, which is awesome. So loving that. Kingston Cardigan, $8 pattern by Tayler Owen. All right, this next one kind of deviates from, you know, some of my ideal cardigan elements, but it has so much going for it. That's an understatement. This is just a really beautiful cardigan. And it's also just kind of a really lovely, it's just a really lovely piece of clothing. It makes me happy just looking at it, especially the little pops of color. And that's the Stria cardigan by Andrea Mowry. Now, I don't want a really colorful cardigan because it's just hard to throw it over everything. But I feel like the color situation happening here in these really nice kind of like pinstripe stripes going on really suit themselves to lots of different things. You could layer this over lots of different things because number one, the colors aren't super bright, and they also have a really nice repetition. So she's following, how many colors are in that pattern? And I don't even know if this really matters, but it's 4 colors in the pattern. They're really nice, earthy colors. And they're in these really nice thin, I don't know what it is. It's just really well done, especially in these colors. Now you could have fun with this in any variety of colors. You could do just a single color of stripes, but I'm just really digging this whole vibe here. And one of the things I really love about this is that it's using stripes while also kind of having this really cool texture. Now, what is that texture? Because to me, it almost looks like, okay, this says it's a brioche tuck texture. It also has that half fisherman's rib vibe going on. I'm not one for brioche. It's kind of a knitting technique that I've been avoiding intentionally. So, you know, I don't love that. I'm wondering if you could do like a half fisherman's rib instead. I don't know. I'm not very well versed when it comes to brioche. The only thing about this that kind of gives me pause is the button band. Just the button band. The hemline, not so much, but the button band. I feel like the button band needs to be tighter. I feel like it needs more structure and durability, because as I look at the picture here, I just feel like those buttons are kind of pulling on the stitches. I'm seeing some of those stitches like opening up and gapping a little bit. I just wish that button band were a little tighter. Now that's something I can control. I can just knit it on a smaller needle size. I can, that's pretty much what I would do. I can use lighter weight buttons. It's really, those things are in my control for the most part, as long as it doesn't throw the gauge off too much. But that to me, for the sake of this overall design, is really a small issue. It's not a deal breaker at all, because I think this is overall just a really lovely pattern. I think it sits nicely on the shoulders. I really love those raglan seams. They're nice and wide, and I'm just loving all this color. It's not in your face. It's not too much. It's not more than you can just throw over a really nice outfit. I like this. It's really cool. And I also like how many buttons she's including here. We have more rapid fire button action, you guys. So yeah, this is great. So this is the Stria by Drea Renee Knits or Andrea Mowry. It's beautiful. It uses 1,488 yards or 2,960 yards of yarn, which, well, it says in fisherman's rib. I don't know if I'm just like not understanding here, and you guys can correct me and I can look this up, of course, but is half fisherman's rib different from brioche tuck? Why is it that all these, why is brioche tuck ending up in the tags of these patterns on Ravelry when it's not a brioche pattern? Hold on. I'm going to look this up when I have more time and we're not discussing something completely different, but I am going to assume that half fisherman's rib is not brioche, but it gets a similar result. That's where I'm going to leave this. I apologize for my lack of experience in this regard. I love the Stria and I love the Seasons cardigan by Ozetta. They use half fisherman's rib. The tags on Ravelry say brioche tuck. It's a little confusing. I don't know what to tell you, but I love this cardigan. I think it's beautiful and I recommend you check it out as well. That is it. That is my collection right now of 7 everyday cardigan patterns that I think you're going to love, that I absolutely love. And if I just had that extra hour every day, I probably could complete all of these and fill my wardrobe with really beautiful hand knit everyday sweaters or everyday cardigans. But again, there's only so much time in the day, so a girl can dream. But I wanted to share those with you to spread the word and see if you have interest in cardigans. These might be some that are worthy of looking into. Some of them, many of them you already may be familiar with, but I love them. The first one I would add to my wardrobe is the Galloway by Jared Flood. It's just so beautiful. And because like I said, my cardigan wardrobe is pretty stacked right now with really great wearable cardigans, this would be that one statement piece knit by myself that I can kind of add to my cardigan collection to give myself a jumping off point for knitting future cardigans, if that makes sense. I did mention to you that I have those beautiful ceramic buttons coming from Stockwell Ceramics, and I absolutely am going to be looking for a cardigan pattern to knit for those buttons, but it may not be my first cardigan. So we'll see. I don't know. But I really enjoyed sharing those with you. I hope you enjoyed that. I hope you took something away from this video. And if you did, please don't forget to give the video a thumbs up. Definitely subscribe, click the bell icon so you can be notified anytime I upload new content here on the channel, which is every Wednesday and every Sunday. And if you would like to help support the channel and the work that I do here, don't forget to head over to woolneedleshands.com. You can check out the merch shop over there. We have lots of fun conversation starters that I know you're going to love. And you can also drop me a tip in the tip line if you would like to see one of your ideas featured here on a future midweek ramble. In the meantime, happy knitting, happy making, happy whatever it is that you're doing. Take care, be well, and I will see you soon. Bye. I don't see anything here about brioche. Are you screaming at me through the screen right now? Is half fisherman's rib and brioche the same thing? Because like I said, I've been putting off learning brioche because it scares the dickens out of me. And that's something to unpack in a whole nother video. Half fisherman's rib. What is the difference? In half fisherman's rib, you only knit the brioche technique on every second round. The difference between half fisherman's rib and half fisherman's rib, makes no sense to me. Wait, gosh. Half fisherman's rib versus brioche. Yeah, I know how to Google. I don't know. Honestly, okay.